Sit back, relax, and enjoy as Don Tony gives you news and reviews from AEW.
Welcome to the party! Oh my God! Thanks for coming, Sammy!
NXT.
And it's over! Cross is here to ransack NXT souls!
And indie wrestling. It's Wednesday night, Dynamite.
Know what's happening in the world of wrestling without the hate and clickbait. And now, your host, Don Tony.
Eddie Valentino, why are you so down about the way Christian defeat Powerhouse Hobbs? I mean, you see what WWE is giving you on Wednesday night or Tuesday night with NXT. AEW, trying to mix in some veterans with some stars of tomorrow. Powerhouse Hobbs has a bright future. The whole reason why you have Team Taz banned at ringside is because everything seems like a clusterfuck with the amount of factions that you have on AEW. So even though Hobbs lost tonight, he wins. Got to get some seasoning. Got to get some improvements. One Fall is saying, Eddie who? One of your fellow friends that's tuning in live tonight for Wednesday Night Dynamite. What's up, everyone? DT here. And I tell you, let's all admit it. Let's admit it. Wednesday night wrestling, even Tuesday night wrestling, is not as fun as it was before. I was shocked to shit to find out that NXT's rating went up this week, albeit slightly. 805 to 841. Okay, all right. But you see the match results on NXT. You're starting to see something change with Tuesday night wrestling with NXT and Wednesday night wrestling with AEW. A lot of the urgency to give us huge names on TV over and over and over again, big matches. And sure, TNT is hyping up AEW Blood and Guts 5-5, the match between the Pinnacle versus the Inner Circle, because TNT gave AEW $155 million. So AEW kind of has to give you, in many cases, pay-per-view quality matches on free TV. But I got to be honest with you. I saw the interview that Triple H gave this week on ESPN's Cheap Heat, saying that AEW won an imaginary war. There was a war, obviously. Now it feels like no sense of urgency for AEW or NXT. And I know what a lot of you are going to say. There shouldn't be a sense of urgency. I get it. But let's be honest. You see what NXT has been doing now? I mean, I had a little debate with Mish yesterday on Patreon, and big shout out to Mish. And by the way, for everybody who loves the Thursday show, the Q&A, the mailbag, Ask DT, not tomorrow, next Thursday, Mish will be joining me. We are going to have a huge Q&A mailbag next week. Mish will be part of it. So for all of you out there that want to pick our brains about anything, it doesn't have to be wrestling, anything that's on your mind, tune in tomorrow for me, but tune in next Thursday for Mish and I. We're going to be doing it together. But, Mish and I had a debate yesterday, and Mish is like, oh, look, WrestleMania just ended. I'm not mocking him. He brought up some valid points. But he's saying, look, TakeOver just ended. NXT, WrestleMania just ended. This is like a little vacation break. And although I respect and agree with a lot of what he said, no. Last week, and nobody looked at it like this. Last week, NXT, unopposed, for the first time on a regular basis, not because of a preemption with NBA playoffs or something else, NXT's audience went up about 100,000, 150,000. Hey, unopposed, you should get that. But keep in mind that last week, and yes, Mike Tyson was a big part of it, AEW went up 500,000. Now, we have talked about how Wednesday Night Wrestling had about 1.3 to 1.4 million viewers, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. The first Tuesday for NXT, in my opinion, that's the show you got to put the tux on. You got to put on your finest, because you have a whole AEW audience that isn't used to watching Tuesday Night Wrestling, with the exception of a small group that were watching Impact for the most part, that now tune in Thursdays. But you have an entire AEW audience that on Tuesday night say, I don't like WWE. Never really got into NXT before, or I always preferred to watch AEW over NXT. You know what? Let me give it a look tonight. So you think you have some big matches, you pull out the big names, and it felt very lackluster last week. Okay, fine. Let's go 1 week later. And I'm looking at the matches. Sarray, great debut for NXT. I saw a lot of people saying, she didn't impress me. The fuck she's supposed to do her first night in NXT? 5-star match? Break her neck? It's to introduce Sarray to the NXT audience. So you put her against Zoey Stark. I liked the match a lot. But something was missing yesterday. And I'm not going to spend tonight, look, this is not a planned rant or anything like that, but, you look at NXT for 2 weeks now, 3 weeks since TakeOver, and you see the names that they're putting on TV. I mean, nothing against Breezango, nothing against Imperium, nothing against the Grizzled Gang veterans with the grizzled teeth, nothing against Oney Lorcan. But anybody that tunes in to my show every Friday night when we break down those quarter-hour ratings for the last year to a year and a half, a lot of those guys own the worst quarter-hour ratings in the history of NXT when they were airing on Wednesdays. So what do? You put them all on last night. And I know what you're going to say, but the ratings still went up. NXT should have been scoring 800,000 viewers when they were going up against AEW. NXT, I don't know if I said AEW. NXT should have had 800,000 viewers. Anytime it went into the 7s or the 6s, a disappointment, a laughter. And by the way, I don't want to bring up, pardon my language, that cocksucker Derek Chauvin, who's now going to rot in jail for the foreseeable future. But if AEW was on TV, Lessa, and I know this is going to be controversial, and I don't care, because I say like it is. You remember with the January 6th riots, and the ratings were kind of shitty? Oh, they blamed it on all the news coverage for the riots, even though the riots were done 9 hours earlier. If AEW was on TV yesterday and scored 900,000 viewers, you know what the majority of people would have said out there? But a lot of people were just focused on the news coverage of Derek Chauvin being found guilty on all charges, which is the right way to go. Not one mention from any of these goofs out there. NXT's rating, the numbers probably could have been a little higher, but with all the news coverage about, the guilty verdicts, nothing. It's all an agenda, everybody. But I got to tell you, this week, I enjoyed AEW 1,000 times more than NXT. And I don't know if it was Jane that said it earlier. She said that, WWE is so predictable at times. How come people don't call out AEW being predictable? Almost everything tonight was predictable. In fact, if you want to see something, just out of humor, starting next week, because I do it every week. I know some of you notice it, is when I put up the results for the shows, before matches end, I actually will put my prediction of what the match result will be. And every match tonight, it was predictable. You could tell exactly where everything was going. But wrestling typically is predictable. It's usually not predictable for pay-per-views, but for TV, it's progression of storylines. But to me this week, AEW entertained me 1,000 times more than NXT. And you know, as I look this week again, Everrise, are you fucking kidding me? The Grizzled Young Veterans, Imperium, Breezango, Oney, Lorcan. I have not, anybody who follows me on a weekly basis, no, I have nothing against any of those guys at all, but they suck in the ratings. There are always tremendous dives in the numbers. And this is what you give us yesterday. And I had to look it up. And I could go down the list with a lot of names. A lot of names. I'm going to just give you one. I think we should have a name change on NXT. Instead of spelling her name XIA, let's get rid of that X. Let's X the X, and let's put the letter M instead. It shouldn't be Xia Lee. It should be MIA Lee. Do you know that since March 1st, almost 2 months, you know how many times Xia Lee has wrestled on TV? In 2 months. Two. Fucking smoke and mirrors. You see what's going on. LA Knight comes in with all his bang and pomp and circumstance. Lose. Bronson Reed, he's getting a push. He ain't got no fucking push. Come on. Seriously. Let's be honest. Ever since, and I know it's only 2 weeks, but you could see where it's starting to go. With NXT permanently on a different night than AEW, that urgency to put some extra talent, extra oomph on TV, maybe in the long run, better for NXT because, as they said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. We all agree with that. But for us as viewers, as the wrestling fans tuning in and week out, man, these first 2 weeks are not as fun as what it was before. Oh, thank you very much. Two of my favorite Mets players of all time. Love these two guys. Met Darryl Strawberry a couple of times. Dwight Gooden sent me congratulations when I got engaged, which I can't believe is a year and a half already ago. Yeah, Machiavelli, I think you're a little behind. We talked about Samoa Joe, I think, on 3 shows already. I'd love to see Samoa Joe in AEW. And again, you know, I repeat this, and you see now, Chelsea Green's already taking bookings. Now, obviously, she's only working indies and places that don't have cameras viewing. But understand, and I know people out there will make specific video clips about this, but how many times did we talk about Drew McIntyre over the last couple of years? That guy was released in like 2016, somewhere around that time. I might have the year slightly off. And that guy left, lit a fire under his ass, came back, and look at where he is today. Sometimes leaving is a wake-up call for some people. Reinvent themselves. As I said last week, the one person that concerns me the most, Tucker, shut up with, I can't wait to tell a story about this. I can't wait to tell everybody why they split up. I don't know why they split us up. You don't know why they split up Otis and Tucker? We didn't like the split. But obviously, and I hate using this term, Tucker's not even the Marty Jannetty of the group. Look at him without heavy machinery. He looks like a hick, a southern hillbilly. No identity, nothing. And that's WWE's fault. They could not come up with another character. Tucker, instead of teasing tweet fucks, go out there, reinvent yourself, show everybody why WWE made a mistake. feeding into this gossip stuff. Jesus. I don't want to see Tucker in AEW. What do you think they're going to do with him? They can't even figure out how to handle big guys. I'm telling you, this is not a shot on Cody. But something he said, I will never let it get past. I'll never let it get past unless I start seeing a change of the culture in AEW. When they did that backstage interview, when he was in the parking lot, he was like taking stuff out of his trunk or putting stuff in his trunk. I don't know if it's Dasha Gonzalez that interviewed him, and he said that AEW is a light heavyweight promotion. That stuck with me because you see, Lance Archer, they fucked him up about a month and a half ago. Had him confront Sting out of nowhere, acting like an asshole. And you're like, come on, man. The guy was one of the most over people in the company. He's still my favorite wrestler in AEW. But you could see they fucked with his character. But give AEW credit, they realized they screwed up. So now Lance Archer is kind of back to what he was before. But seriously, everybody, I mean, where is this going to lead? Lance Archer ultimately turning on Darby Allin to get a match? I mean, does it feel like any big man in AEW is getting pushed? How is Lance Archer going to fight for a title when Hangman Page, probably, arguably, and I think a lot of you will say this, other than Shida's title reign, Hangman Page has probably been used the worst of all of the top superstars in AEW over the last year or so. Hangman Page has been used the worst, the fucking worst. We thought he was going to be the first ever AEW heavyweight champion. After that stampede that they did, the stadium stampede, AEW did a pathetic job with Hangman Page the last year or so. And he's number one contender? What did I miss the last year or so? So where do you think Lance Archer is going to fit into a title picture? He's going to turn on Darby? And when is that going to happen? And you know why I say this? 4 letters. M-I-R-O. How is he going to get into a title picture? 2 weeks in a row. Kip, where are you? Kip, where are you? And then we see a little graphic later on. Oh no, Penelope Ford's going to wrestle next week. And guess what? Kip will be there. Kip, where are you? Now I'm focused on championship. Anybody has a title. Seriously, you know who Miro should beat the shit out of? And I don't mean this literally. He should go after Shida's title. Because how's he going to get thrown into the storyline with Darby Allin? He certainly ain't getting no tag team championships. He's going to get through the Young Bucks. You kidding me? And Kenny Omega? Ha! Come on. Let's dissect this. It was a fun show today. Don't get me wrong, it was a fun show. But as far as a lot of talents on the roster, they are being sacrificed. It's Crash TV. And let me make this clear. I enjoy Crash TV. In some ways, this reminds me of old ECW. ECW used to be crazy ass shit going down. God forbid you had a DQ finish. We didn't want that. We don't want the referees stopping interference outside the ring. It's got an ECW feel to it. The problem is, if you tune in to the news every day, and every day there's a car chase on the TV, or every day there's something going on, after a while you're like, it's not like it used to be. It's Crash TV. And the thing is, when does it start to lose its luster? Nobody in a million years ever thought the Inner Circle was going to lose their luster late last year. Then you see the awful storylines they were doing. We're a cohesive unit. Next week, we might break up. A week later, no, we're going to Vegas and getting wasted. A week later, no, we're having problems again. A week after that, we're together. A week after that, we got to decide who's going to go for the those numbers were going. So now we got the Pinnacle versus the Inner Circle, and it's great. It's hot. But you got 5 guys versus 5 guys. What happens after the blood and guts? they're going to take up 2-3 matches every week. How are some of these people going to fit into this? So I think they need to do a better job with AEW Elevation on Mondays. I know TNT is their bread and butter, plus pay-per-views, obviously. But you see that they refuse to take some names and push them on Elevation. They got to keep them on TNT. And that's why you see 40 people, 30 people on every show. I watched the show within 10 minutes after Hangman Page beat Ricky Starks today. And by the way, how scary was that with that fall-away slam? The suplex by Hangman Page. I thought Ricky Starks seriously injured his neck. Props to Ricky Starks to get up and literally no-sell it. Because he, without a doubt, knew, shit, that probably looked horrible on TV. People were very concerned. Thank God he's okay. But we're not even watching Dynamite for 10 minutes. And all of a sudden, I mean, what's his name? Buck? What's it? Duck? Was it Hook comes out and actually is kicking Hangman Page. And I'm like, oh, that's so cute. It's so cute. And I'm nothing against him. But next thing I know, there's like 95 members of the Dark Order running out to make the save. And by the way, what happened to Matt Hardy? Oh, Matt Hardy had the match last week. He's healing his wounds. Well, what about his whole posse? Oh, they're just going to let Darby Allin just hang out there and have a great match against Jungle Boy today? There's so much inconsistency. Watching AEW on a weekly basis, this reminds me of a lot of old school ECW, but it also reminds me of a lot of very early TNA, NWA TNA, where you really don't have much of a big storyline going on. So we'll just do Crash TV. We'll do segments and spots, and everybody closes the TV like, okay, that was a fun show. But then next week you realize, you're like, where's the development? I mean, I know we have Omega versus Rich Swann at Rebellion, and props for Impact Wrestling for doing a wonderful job suddenly hyping up that match, making that match feel extremely important. Mara Ronaldo calling that match. Jim Ross actually doing some segments for Impact. But right before Rebellion, you're that thick-headed and still don't have Rich Swann try to show up at Jacksonville to get his hands on Kenny Omega. And then, my God, the Inner Circle, they had whatever Shaq had. You know, Shaq was in the ambulance and then poof, he disappeared in thin air. Now, we saw the footage where he went. But as much as I enjoyed Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston ramming that truck, that pickup, in the side of the Elite's production truck, you just step aside from me like, wow, they're dumb fucks because they hit the wrong truck. They hit the wrong truck. Where did the Elite go? Where did they go? They vanished in thin air. One fall. He expects that title versus title match end in a double DQ. I don't know, man, because you got, look, I'm going to do Impact predictions on Friday. And right now, like, I'm closing my eyes and I can envision Kenny Omega with both belts arm in arm. I can envision the Good Brothers regaining the Impact titles. And I envision what I've been saying for about 8 months now, that Tony Khan eventually is going to be a character on TV. And I brought up, was it 8 months ago when I started bringing up Vince McMahon in Memphis, 1993? Remember I said this might be something like Bischoff where Tony Khan is actually trying to take over Impact? I'm telling you, don't buy into this. He has no interest in being a character. When he cut that promo on Elevation, that was him breaking his cherry. That's Mr. McCann. Khan. That's going to happen. Oh, by the way, speaking of Bischoff, I don't have the picture tonight. I'll show you tomorrow. I have certificate of authenticity, and I have a picture of Eric Bischoff signing this thing. Tomorrow, when we do Ask DT, the prize that I'm going to give away, and this is kind of funny, because when I show you the picture of Eric Bischoff holding this thing up after he signed it, I just close my eyes and imagine Bischoff wearing this. But if somebody tomorrow doesn't want this, you could choose the wheel instead. I'm going to give away this signed NWO trunks, signed by Eric Bischoff. Going to give it away tomorrow. Believe it or not, it's pretty damn good quality. It's not like an iron-on patch. This is stitched. But I was like, I'm looking at Eric Bischoff holding this, and I'm saying to myself, could you imagine him wearing that? So that's the prize tomorrow. 10:05 p.m. Eastern if you want to tune in. Oh, I will tell you this. For everybody who's kind enough to join me tonight, you'll get a little hint. The topic tomorrow for the trivia contest will be Eric Bischoff. So start thinking about Eric Bischoff. I promise you it has nothing to do with his AWA days. I would not make you go that far back because I know some of you weren't even embryos at the time Bischoff was in AWA. Can I let Twix win tomorrow? Well, if you guess right. So anyway, guys, gals, I didn't try them on. Honestly, and I really mean this, I think if I tried those on, I think I would look like the fat, oily guy. Seriously, if I tried that on without a shirt on, I might as well just go like this and just let them go jingle. The jingling, baby. Go ahead, baby. The jingling, baby. Yeah, I would not wear those. So, but anyway, as far as NXT, and again, I don't know if this format is going to stay the same. I know for now, everybody likes the idea of me just talking about NXT and AEW together on a Wednesday night. And look, so far I agree with you 100%. If NXT really starts to catch fire, and enough of you out there do not want to wait till Wednesday to talk about NXT, I will start doing a recap on Tuesday. And, I know for some of my Patreon family out there, you'll be like, well, what about us? There'll always be that show. The flagship show will always be there. We might have to tweak a date or something like that. But, so I'm going to talk a little bit about NXT. But since everybody and their mother's already done a recap, I'm going to just do a brief overview. I think that's the right way to go with this. You want me to talk about NXT first or AEW? Oh, and by the way, this is just regular water tonight. I don't think I'm going to drink club soda on the show anymore because some of you have figured out, especially when I'm on with Mish, he'll be talking and you'll just see me do this. And for the most part, nobody hears it. But I watched part of the video back yesterday because somebody was laughing. And sure enough, after I drank, you heard, So Bubbles on a live show is probably not. So NXT, look, NXT was not bad yesterday. It was a fun show, but a lot of names lacking. LA Knight beating Dexter Lumis. Dexter Lumis is still my favorite NXT wrestler. Yes. If I want to gush, then Karrion Kross, I should have him tattooed on my chest. Karrion Kross is good people, friend of the family, awesome NXT champion. But we got to see some momentum with him. I mean, I think WWE forgets that when he came in, he went right to the top almost immediately. He had a feud with Ciampa. He had a feud with Keith Lee, and that was great still when he opened the contract and the fireball in his face. Won the title, got injured, did nothing because he was injured. Came back, had a feud with Santos Escobar that was so random, albeit good, was so random, and then defeats Finn Balor. And Finn Balor's disappeared. Oh, but it's TakeOver. Let him lick his wounds. Io Shirai, after 2 weeks, I'm tired. I want to rest. That should have been last week's interview. 2 weeks later, I'm tired. I want to go rest. She deserves the rest. Io Shirai, to me, has been my favorite NXT women's champion to date. And that's speaking a lot when you think of the names that have been there. By the way, a lot of you said we need a little bit more female representation on the wall, so that's Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. I know part of it's cut off tonight. I didn't have the camera perfectly centered. But, Dexter Lumis is still my favorite NXT star. And although I'm entertained with the storyline with Indy Hartwell, let's dissect Dexter Lumis's in-ring work. Don't give me, like what Booker T said about The Fiend, that it's not about wins or losses for The Fiend. I agree, because that's a science fiction character. Dexter Lumis doesn't talk. Dexter Lumis is a little bit creepy in the ring, and that's a compliment. But he still performs wrestling moves, and he still has matches. And, I mean, does this guy feel like he's on any momentum? Oh, he's going to get him some. Oh, okay, top superstar. I mean, this is entertainment, obviously, and we want to be entertained. But you also want to feel like the people you support are winning. Because winning is good. Winning is better. Or what do they say? What's that saying? That losing tastes 10 times worse than winning feels good. There's some phrase like that. Nobody wants to get behind a loser. If that's the case, especially when you think of like Karrion Kross or Kenny Omega or something like that, if they start losing on TV, you'll have people losing their shit on social media. So Dexter Lumis, okay, they're doing a storyline with Indy Hartwell. VJ, I deserve the Warrior Award for everyone to help. I appreciate that, VJ. I don't want to go off track because we want to focus on NXT and AEW tonight, but I know tomorrow will be the 93rd person that I set up for a vaccine appointment is going to be vaccinated. So it's still open to all of you out there. If any of you out there that live in the United States and you're having a very difficult time getting a vaccination appointment in your area, just reach out to me, Don Tony, at DonTony.com. There hasn't been anybody yet that I haven't been able to help. Because me, I'm thick-headed. You know me. Once I get onto something, I can't stop until it's done. And a lot of you have reached out. And I've been able to, but there is a method of doing it. If you want to talk about it tomorrow, I'll give you some tips as far as how you could get an appointment, the easiest way to get it. There is some tricks online. But James Pasco got his this week. Okay, Kevin Walkie, losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen. Sean Connery said that? That's interesting. But I want that phrase. Someone out there want to Google it. Something about losing. I know they do it with weight gain, but there's something about losing feels 10 times worse than something. It's an awesome phrase. But when you follow it with wrestling, it sucks when you see people, because if WWE keeps jobbing somebody out, use that term, that kind of feels like WWE has no faith or does not feel that said person or persons, Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, that they don't think that they have any, credibility on TV for the fans to get behind. You mean to tell me what they have been doing with Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander since the night that they disbanded the Hurt Business, that you don't feel that there is a burial going on? To me, you know what it feels like? The more social media complains that the Hurt Business has been split up, it's like Vince McMahon's like, I'll show you. And they get squashed even more. Squashed. Seriously. And this is just entertainment. But you want to get behind the ones you like. Thank you to VJ. Leave it to VJ. Losing feels twice as bad No, that's not it. Losing feels twice as bad as winning. Losing feels worse than winning feels good. No shit. There's a saying. There's a really, really good saying. And I love it. And I'm sorry for the brain fart tonight. But I'm not liking what they're doing with Dexter Lumis in the ring. It's like, okay, we're not giving him any momentum. We're not going to put any titles on him. We're not going to give him any winning streak. So we'll just tease that he can get some pee right now, to say it nicely. Losing feels worse than winning feels good. Okay, that's a good one, Robbie. That's a hybrid of it. Vince Scully. Absolutely, that's a good one. Losing feels worse than winning feels good. But that kind of makes sense. No, it's beyond 50-50 crap, Vulture. Just look at Dexter Lumis's record. I mean, it's like, it's hard to get behind someone like that. But before I get into more of the matches, wanted to shout out a few people. Cleric of Chaos wanted to give me fundage on Monday. This is for when I dumped on him when he's in WWE. Oh, it's so good. And I hope your birthday was good, man. Happy birthday again. So I hope you enjoyed it. So much love, Cleric. And like I said, I started watching videos. I know some of you are going to laugh at me for saying this, but I downloaded Zoom. I bought the big package, and I'm now studying on how to host like some big Zoom things. And very, very soon, I'm going to invite all of you. We're going to do like our own version of AEW Heels. You won't see me walking by the screen with heels and nice legs, and it will be open to anyone that's tuning in. But I'm going to host some big Zoom things, and we're going to have some fun chats and combos, and this will also allow me to have 2, 3, 4 hosts on at the same time. So this is something that we're working on, and very, very soon we'll be able to take calls. So yeah, okay, losing feels worse than... Okay, VJ got it. Losing feels worse than winning feels good. To me, in many ways, it's the opposite, because trust me, winning feels awfully good. For me, losing feels worse, but winning feels great. And it's hard to get behind Dexter Lumis when you see the shit going on. And the funny thing is that, you know, I do quarter-hour ratings every week. I don't get into demos. Fuck the demos. Seriously. You know, but the 25 to 34 went up 17%. Well, what if they're all cheap fucks? But they're the ones that... The only people that should care about demographics, and I'm sorry for repeating it, is the promotions, the advertisers, and the TV networks, and the wrestlers themselves, because when they realize that they're channel changer every time they're on TV, they got to be a little bit concerned. But I will make a point here. You know, Dexter Lumis, the women demographic that watch NXT, his quarter hours, the women demographic is going up significantly. So, nothing against the women that tune into NXT, but I don't want his character to just be this guy that is so ridiculously stupid that he can't even grab a kiss. You know, he's got, you know, I mean, I know a lot of ladies, and when Indy Hartwell breaks his fucking heart, what is she going to beat, a monster heel? And what's going to happen? Who is going to come to the aid of Dexter Lumis? Is Dexter Lumis, is this going to be like another Kane thing? Is another female going to want to get a little piece of Dexter, if you know what I mean? You know, you could see two ways of this going. It could be happily ever after. What did I say yesterday? I said this kind of reminds me of, I remember, Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell reminds me a little bit of, drumroll please, Murphy and Aaliyah. And I know what you're going to say, but hear me out. Aaliyah, the family did not want her around him. Fuck the ages, everyone. Again, people out there that get creeped out by the ages, we have already ripped that argument to pieces. But Here's two people that every time they were teasing something, the family would say, no, pull them away. It almost feels, and they dropped the Aaliyah Murphy storyline. It almost feels like that somebody said, that would be kind of funny if we did that with Dexter Lumis and someone. That's what it kind of feels like. Look, this past Monday on Raw, I said it, I think 9 months ago. Somebody gave me the date earlier. 9 months ago, when they had Angel Garza with the Rose, or 8 months ago with the Rose, right at the beginning. I said, they should do a knockoff of that movie, Shallow Hal, I think it's called, and have Angel Garza kind of find Nia Jax attractive and, do something like that. It seems like they're fine, but this is all you got for some of these people? Yeah, Dexter is acting more like Point Dexter. I like that, Machiavelli. I like that. Crazy Cruiserweight. We could call them the factory, the laboratory, the warehouse, the brewery, the branch, the shop. I still don't care for who that. This week's and next week's quarter ratings with them better be low. I don't wish a low rating on who that. But, they try to make this seem like he is like one of their top fucking stars. And you see the wrestlers, look, he's a great trainer. I hear nothing but awesome things about QT Marshall, his work ethic behind the scenes. I will not knock him at all. I also hear that as a trainer, he really, really has his shit together. The thing is, his behind the scenes work and him being a trainer are 10 times more important than him having a spot on television in this role. Given the diamond cutter, given a piece of ass, given this, given that, turning on this, teasing this, my best friend, my enemy, my former best friend, this, and that. I mean, this guy's biggest worth is behind the scenes. And when you show me the bullshit that you're doing with Lance Archer, Miedo is, whoever's a champion, that's a problem. What belt is he going to go for? Like we said earlier. And you think of Powerhouse Hobbs. Oh, next week we're getting Cage versus Page. It's going to be a rage. Cage versus Page. No FTW title on the line for some reason. Doesn't that give you a telltale sign that Page may actually win this one? You see what they're doing with all these guys. But meanwhile, QT Marshall is eating up 7 minutes. And I know that may not sound like a lot, but fucking get this guy off TV and put your focus on some of these people that you're just totally treating like shit. I mean, I look, it's their company. They can do whatever they want. I mean, that's pretty clear. But as for us wrestling fans, I think we have a right to complain. We're the ones watching it. We're the ones that buy the pay-per-views. We're the ones that buy the merchandise. I buy a shitload of merchandise, But whatever. Scorpio 1117, his girl would love to put on those trunks. Well, not for nothing, man. If your girl would put on these trunks, well, actually, you know what? They are kind of small. What size are these? I don't even think there's a tag. Oh, there is a tag. Authentic gear. Now, maybe this is worth more than what I thought it was. It says authentic gear. It's NWO. I don't know what size it is, though. But it's not worn, that I could tell you. It's not worn. Trust me, I think there would have been some type of a disclaimer if it was worn. It would probably say, like, not recommended to put next to nostrils, especially in the middle of COVID. I'm smelling somebody's... We'll leave it there. Christopher Silva, one of my thoughts... Oh, you know what, Scorpio? If you win it, you win that tomorrow, then you could have her take the picture. You could take the picture of her wearing them. So, Chris Silver, my thoughts on how Tony Khan has been doing with AEW. Honestly, Chris, putting all the jokes aside and everything else, for a promotion that was almost non-existent 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, to be accepted. I know you got your diehards out there. I know you got your whack jobs. I know you have the cake and ice cream crew, and you have the all elite whiners. But to get to this point, now remember, I was around when TNA first started, and I remember all the publicity that TNA was getting, NWA TNA was getting in the papers and interviews and, media. And, there was some hype, but it wasn't the hype like this. It was a weekly pay-per-view deal, so you had to pay money to watch the show every week, which really sucked in the beginning. But, you see how they started, and look, it fit in very nicely, but I will tell you that a year and a half in, AEW is doing 1,000 times of a better job that TNA did. And understand that I'm not comparing wrestlers. Don't say to me, oh my God, look at the roster in 2002, 2003. I mean, look, they brought in this person. I'm not comparing the rosters. What I'm talking about is the organization. I mean, you can't compare the roster. But AEW, to get a $155 million deal with a cable network and a contract for a couple of years, and, yes, we have our issues with how creative is done and certain people getting utilized, but overall, I think Tony Khan is doing a fine job. I think he's doing a fine job. I subscribed to Meltzer's newsletter for a long time. I still do, but I don't participate in the awards. And I hated the Booker of the Year award because when you have $1 billion company and you're still a $1 billion company with record profits, and even if you're hated, even if people spit on you for releasing people, if you're a $1 billion company and no net losses but record profits, by default, you're Booker of the Year. But as far as, hands-on, putting all that outside aside, Tony Khan has done a very fine job. And they're going to continue to make mistakes, and they will learn on the fly. The big concern about AEW, you see it once in a while with Kenny Omega more than anyone else. And I'm not complaining about his in-ring. Kenny Omega is one of the top wrestlers in wrestling. Top 5. Not even a question. But what happens once in a while is when there is a loud enough uproar amongst wrestling fans where it seems like AEW is making mistakes, and instead of addressing those mistakes and improving on them, you get Kenny Omega that'll make a comment and say, the fans need to adapt to the times. No, the fans don't fucking need to adapt to anything. If fans are complaining about something, they have a right to complain, and they can choose to feel that we disagree with the fans and we're going to keep going on this schedule. And that's their prerogative and that's their right. But to turn around and try to say, well, that's the same thing of Vince McMahon saying, we know what the fans want. It's just different words. And because Kenny Omega is not the evil Vince, it doesn't sound the same, but it is the same. So when they run into issues early on, when you saw none of the rules, I mean, look at tonight, Darby Allin versus Jungle Boy. Great main event. Excellent main event. But there was a point where Darby Allin had Jungle Boy outside the ring, and Jungle Boy almost got counted out, and Luchasaurus helps Jungle Boy back in the ring. And even Jim Ross is like, that's kind of borderline acceptable. And how many times you got the ref? Luchasaurus is not a manager, but, they lax the rules whenever they feel like it. Oh, wrestlers are banned from ringside. Why? Why would wrestlers be banned from ringside? Because you creatively can't figure out how to have this person defeat this person without 15 people running out to cause a clusterfuck? And why would heels give a shit if they're banned from ringside? You see little things like that. you can't just throw those things out there because creatively you can't figure out how to go to point A to point B. So how they deal with adversity, we'll see as time goes on. So hopefully that answered it. Crazy Cruiserweight, the age gap between Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell. Motherfucker, how you are the man. You're the man. No prize for you, but you're the man. Nah, email me. We'll talk. I got something for you. Seriously. It's not me wearing those trunks. Look at that, everybody. Give this man credit. Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell, for people who are audio only, that can't see the screen right now. The age gap between Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell is 13 years, which happens to be the same exact age gap between Aaliyah and Buddy Murphy. Now, I know what some people are going to say, but Aaliyah is only 19. Fuck does that mean? She's old enough to vote. She's old enough to get married. She's only 19. Yeah, Benjamin, enough with the trunks. But props, Cruiserweight. Excellent point. Grizzled young veterans beating Breezango. WWE has done a shit job with Breezango for the last 2 years. Put him on TV yesterday, no different. You have grizzled young veterans teasing injury to fool Breezango. Breezango loses. I don't think anybody expected anything different. Numbers do matter, Twix. I agree. Numbers matter. Especially with ratings. I mean, I can't wait to see the drop from quarter 1 to quarter 2 when I get into the ratings on Friday. Sarray over Zoey Stark. As I said right at the beginning of this show, she's making her debut on NXT television. Anyone out there that has ever seen anyone make their, well, mostly everyone, making their debut for WWE, for AEW, for Impact Wrestling, for MLW, 9 times out of 10, they will beat a jobber. I hate using that term, but you will admit, usually when somebody makes their debut, they usually will beat someone much lower on the food chain than them. And in some cases, will win within a minute. Zoey Stark, the way WWE has used her has been confusing at times. I don't know why people were so shocked to see her beat Toni Storm. You felt like that needed to happen to level Zoey Stark. Zoey Stark is pretty damn good. But Sarray is wrestling her first match in NXT. And no one is supposed to have a unbelievable, unforgettable, if it's a gimmick. I mean, I remember when The Fiend first came out there as The Fiend, or even when Bray Wyatt made his debut on the main roster. But that's more character driven than anything else. A wrestler coming in. Sarray had a very competitive match with Zoey Stark yesterday. The match went a lot longer than I expected it to be. The funny thing about it was I was waiting for people to praise the shit out of Sarray, and I'm saying to myself, it's kind of funny how they're so into Sarray, but they knock Riho for her size. Sarray is not much bigger than Riho. In fact, I haven't looked it up yet, but I'm very curious to see what the advertised weights are for both. But she's not supposed to have a 5-star match right from the get-go. And yes, Harris B., I agree with you. Zoey Stark is still brand new as well. But Zoey Stark, it's been a little bit weird how they've been using her. I mean, yeah, you want to make an impression. But, again, we could go down the list of some names noticeably absent. Nothing against, Zoey Stark. But Toni Storm attacks her after the match, and Sarray comes to her aid. So you're probably expecting a match between Toni Storm and Sarray, and you see some of the other things going on. And meanwhile, you quickly realize that, some people are being left behind. Raquel Gonzalez, I mean, when do you think she's going to have a match on TV? You know, TakeOver is going to be 3 weeks already gone by. There's no hint of a match at all, you know? So when you see some names, like I mentioned earlier, Xia Li, 2 months, 2 matches. I think of all the women on that roster, other than obviously, you know, Raquel Gonzalez, you know, being elevated, you know, how is that acceptable? And we feared that. If you remember, we feared it. You know, it went from every other week to every 2 weeks. Now it's every 3 weeks. No momentum whatsoever. They have killed all the momentum of Xia Li. But I'm happy that Sarray made her debut. I love Beth Phoenix name dropping so many legends from yesteryear, talking about, you know, getting, you know, the love and appreciation from Antonio Inoki, which again, keep him in your prayers. You know, I hate doing Deadpools, but if some of you out there don't know about the current health issues of Antonio Inoki, it's very, very sad. It's very sad. And it's sad to see some of the video that is on YouTube. You know, just seeing him in the hospital bed and holding his chest. And he knows he's being filmed, but still, you know, prayers for Antonio Inoki. Kushida issuing open challenge. Very happy that they're giving the ball to Kushida. And awesome that Kushida comes off as one of the most popular wrestlers on the roster. The fans in attendance, albeit a small crowd, absolutely love Kushida. Fans online love Kushida. Kushida, you know, it's very rare to have someone, especially from overseas, in Japan, that is, in a lot of people's views, underappreciated, underutilized, even to the point of mistreated, you know, and still keep that popularity. He kept that popularity, but he issues an open challenge yesterday. And I understand Oney Lorcan needs work because of the injury to Danny Burch. But come on, let's be honest. When Oney Lorcan's music hits yesterday, tell me that wasn't a tremendous disappointment. Good match or not, that was a tremendous disappointment. And now I'm looking at the first 4 matches of the night, and I'm like, LA Knight versus Dexter Lumis, okay, all right. Grizzled Young Veterans versus Breezango. Sarray making a debut, decent match with Zoey Stark, but Kushida versus Oney Lorcan, I'm like, okay, you know, we need something big. And I know Kyle O'Reilly and Cameron Grimes were advertised as well. Kyle O'Reilly coming out, and please, everyone, no disrespect intended, but spare me with the, oh, he came out with a denim jacket and a T-shirt and a hat. Oh, that's Orange Cassidy. Go look at wrestlers in history who have worn denim jackets and hats and T-shirts. Maybe not as 80s as Kyle O'Reilly, but don't give me this, oh, he's biting off Orange Cassidy. I thought that was one of the stupidest things that I saw yesterday. Chris Silver, I will answer your question about AEW in a second. But, you know, they have Kyle O'Reilly coming out. He's in a great mood. He's happy. He's letting his guard down. And, you know, it feels good to see him being accepted by the WWE Universe. Because there's a lot of people out there that will not give Kyle O'Reilly any chance whatsoever. They'll always treat him like the fourth wheel of, you know, the Undisputed Era. So he comes out there yesterday cutting his promo, interrupted by Cameron Grimes, and Cameron Grimes, you know, trying to have the comedy. And they get into a little back and forth. So they set up the match later on. And again, I have no problem with Kyle O'Reilly versus Cameron Grimes, but I'm saying to myself, you know, something is missing. WWE on their social media is hyping up Karrion Kross, Karrion Kross, Karrion Kross. Anybody want it? Come get it. And nobody goes to get it then the following week. That reminds me of two things. Fucking Cesaro. And it's nothing against him. I love Cesaro. Friday on SmackDown, they showed a goddamn UFO. 6 segments. They showed a UFO. He has a match with Jey Uso. How many times did he use the UFO? That we saw 6 times on TV leading up to the match. How many times did he do it? UF0. How do you show it 6 times and then he doesn't do it or even attempt to do it? Last week, Karrion Kross opens up NXT on the mic. Open challenge, sort of. Anybody want it? You want some? Come get some. Nobody goes to get some the following week. That's like the Rodney Dangerfield joke. Hey, I met this girl earlier. She told me to come over tonight. Nobody will be home. I went over there. There was nobody home. How fucking awful is that? Oh, he's standing in the back. He's standing. Kyle O'Reilly walks past him and they have a stare down. So social media could tweet fuck the fantasy. That's the same thing like Cena. Cena, there's an exchange of words online with Cena and Karrion Kross. Oh my God! Could it happen? Yeah, it could happen. Tweet fuck, tweet fuck, tweet fuck. It ain't fucking happening. This is like a drug with the social media to keep everybody's attention, but TV is what is most important. Karrion Kross, want some? Come get some. Hey, this girl told me to come over. Said nobody will be home. I came over. Nobody was home. It's not funny. So we know Kyle O'Reilly versus Cameron Grimes is the main event. And Cameron Grimes has not knocked it out of the park in the ring, other than a change of theme music and other than him having extra money. But it's the same Cameron Grimes that had shit ratings before. But he bought an NFT, but then it ended up that he didn't buy the NFT because Ted DiBiase bought the NFT. I like the old school reference. Does anybody give a shit if Ted DiBiase shows up? And what's going to happen when he shows up? You going to have a match? Is he going to have like a plastic baseball bat like Sting? I mean, I know it's funny and everything. It's not doing nothing on TV. So the match before Kyle O'Reilly and Cameron Grimes, they give us Imperium versus Everrise. I want to start pulling my nose hairs because that was less painful than, this would be less painful than that. Why? Because they have a podcast that almost nobody tunes into. NXT yesterday had its fun moments, but man, you go on Tuesday night, you have 1 million AEW, about 800,000. Let's be honest. You have about 700,000 AEW fans that only watch AEW because there are a lot of fans that watch both. So you got about 700,000 AEW fans, and then you got more that will watch both products. You have all of those AEW fans that have no wrestling to watch on Tuesday. And now you have 2 weeks in a row where you're going to get some eyes on your product from people that don't normally watch your product. And that's what you give us the first 2 weeks. They went up to 841. That's not that spectacular. And yes, it's WWE's third brand and AEW is their first brand. But you could see that because it has moved to Tuesday nights, NXT is not going to go give us 110% anymore. Because it did. And yes, I said before, NXT lost their identity in a lot of ways. They turned William Regal into a goof. Not his fault. So NXT did lose a lot of their identity. But, when people that watched the first 2 weeks said, This reminds me of NXT from years ago. And kudos, Triple H, for going back to your roots. Here's the difference. Several years ago, there was no TV show on the USA Network. Trust me, if the USA Network gets 285,000 viewers, they're not going to smile and say, oh, but we got Scumbag Island coming up afterwards. They demand ratings. They're not going to take 600,000 viewers unopposed if it starts going down. They're not going to be happy about that. So they demand results. They're getting paid. USA Network works out a deal with NXT. That's something that they didn't have many years ago. So, I don't know. But Kyle O'Reilly beats Cameron Grimes yesterday. Fun match. Look, you don't even get the overrun. We didn't even get an overrun yesterday. NXT was a fun show. But NXT, you could feel that energy that we had on Wednesday nights. Channel surfing, not channel surfing, having an alternative to watch, AEW upping it a notch, NXT, the fans going back at each other, this one loves this, hates this, back and forth, all that fun online, a lot of it is missing now. And you could feel that NXT is going back to the marathon and they're not going to give you 110%. Maybe they'll do that if the ratings start to decline significantly. So Darren says NXT's like a WWE version of Ring of Honor. I don't know. I wouldn't go that far because, you know, NXT's got some, look, no denying it. NXT easily has the best women's wrestling of them in AEW. You know, it's very hard to compare it to Raw and SmackDown now when you realize, you know, the star quality on their shows from Asuka to Charlotte to Bianca to Sasha to Bayley, you know, Becky Lynch coming back soon. Ronda Rousey, not so much. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Ronda Rousey will not be back. Congrats to her. I guess we could say it now. She's pregnant. She's pregnant. And when Shad Khan, Nick Khan. No, Shad Khan is Tony's father. Nick Khan. So many Khans all of a sudden. Nick Khan said, oh yeah, Ronda Rousey will be back soon. Yeah, soon as in 2022 or 2023. But good. Congrats, man. Congrats. And please don't send me any links of Jim Cornette saying, oh, it's stupid to get pregnant. It's stupid to be... Keep my mouth shut. James Pierce, yeah, Austin Nance in the chat is one of my biggest supporters. And, you know, if you want to criticize him, go on Discord and do it there. You know, I appreciate the support here. People like him and you, because you're a supporter also, you know, you're the reason why I do this stuff. So much love, you know. And I don't bribe Austin, too. Thank you, Austin. Austin! If you want to be entertained, go check out the interview that Triple H did on the Cheap Heat podcast for ESPN. I have two quotes. I'll read them to you now because I actually wholeheartedly disagree with almost everything that Triple H said because he says this after the move to Tuesdays. Triple H says, and I quote, "The promotional opportunity for us is much better on a Tuesday, and also than not having to have a narrative where it's just constantly about an imaginary war or this imaginary battle. People could say what they want, but the truth of the matter is you compete against everything. If you're creating a television product or content that is worldwide, the world we live in, it's content not against everything under the sun." Wait, who wrote this recap? Oh my God, your English sucks. Something tells me Triple H did not talk like he broke in English. Oh my God. It's everything. You're constantly competing for eyeballs and time against everything under the sun, including sleep and time to do other things and video games and TikTok and everything else that's out there. So what Triple H is saying is that you're not just competing against AEW, you're competing against everything out there. And the most ridiculously stupid thing about that, with all due respect to Triple H, is something that I've been saying on my hotline since 1997. That, wrestling, when the ratings go down, it's because fans found something else to do instead of watching your product live. When Survivor back in the day would have a drop in ratings and Raw would have record numbers in the Monday Night Wars, you didn't have Survivor saying, well, Raw and Nitro kicked ass last night. When football would have a terrible rating, yeah, but Raw had a great rating. Wrestling fans are the only ones that will blame everything else for low numbers. At the end of the day, when wrestling numbers go up, that means fans out there chose wrestling as their first choice of viewing entertainment for said night. When the numbers go down, that means that fans chose that you're not must-see TV. Oh, I'll watch it on the replay. I'll watch a YouTube clip. I'll go on Hulu tomorrow. Say that to advertisers and see how advertisers handle that. So Triple H saying this, just because you add in TikTok and other things, that is no different than what it was in the 90s. There's nothing different about that. So him throwing that out there now, it sounds nice and it sounds like it makes sense, but that goes for every show that is out there. Then he says, so having your own space where you don't have to then have an imaginary battle stacked up against it, it's kind of nice. The bigger fact is we have a lead-in from a Tuesday into a Wednesday. When we first started, NXT was on Wednesdays for viewers of the network. The transition to USA and wanting to keep that consistency for those that we were watching on the network so they would know where to find it and not have the confusion of SmackDown leaving Tuesdays and people joining in and finding something out. You have a headache as you're reading this? Time has gone by now, and this is a great opportunity for us to have that lead-in from Monday Night Raw. So basically what Triple H saying is that this was an imaginary war, and the reason why they moved to Tuesdays is because they wanted a plug from Monday night. If that was the fucking case, why didn't you have NXT on the network Tuesdays? Friday Night SmackDown has been on for years now. Why would you keep it on Wednesdays on the network? Why didn't you do Tuesdays? Years back, before there was any competition on TV. Before there was, why didn't they have it on Tuesdays? Lead in my ass. But you know what happened. These cheap heat, I don't know who hosts these shows. I'm not knocking them. But we got Triple H on the show today. We have to play footsie underneath the table. We can't turn around and say to them, but Triple H, what about before the USA Network? How come it wasn't on Tuesday nights? Don't ever call me again for an interview. I'm busy. So let's go to AEW tonight. Hangman Page beating Ricky Starks. 2 times during the match, we kind of held our breath. There was one point where Hangman Page dumped Ricky Starks backwards, fall away slam, suplex, however you want, and Ricky Starks landed on his head. Like the edge of his head, his neck, it just was a very awkward land. But props to Ricky Starks for realizing almost immediately, like, okay, that did not feel right, but he was not hurt. He got up and he no-sold it. Now, I know what some people are going to say, the fuck you no-sell that? Even if you're okay, why would you no-sell that? He's not the Ultimate Warrior. He's not Hogan. He's not one of these guys that you just do a belly-to-back or a fall-away slam or a suplex, a pile drive or something. You just bounce up like... So, thank you, King of Hueco Mundo. Nothing against Triple H. I like Triple H. Absolutely love what he does for WWE and NXT. Triple H is spectacular. But you get away with that on interviews. you know? And look, I would never pull a Mike Johnson. I would never pull a Mike Johnson. But that's why I don't do interviews. I would not be an asshole and be like, but what about on Tuesday? I wouldn't do that. But still, you know, when you make a comment like that and your first instinct is, wait a minute, on the WWE Network, why wasn't it on Tuesdays then? You know, like, nobody's going to throw that question out there. Courtney Summers, what's going on? What's going on, Courtney? Want to get into a couple of shout-outs as we continue our AEW recap. What do I think of Tim Walbert as director of AEW? Honestly, Chris, I don't care who is directing AEW. Just give me a good product on TV. Give me good wrestling, which we get. Give us, you know, different stars, which we get. Give us some decent storylines, character development, which we get. It's just, like I said, you could see that AEW has fallen into a little bit of that crash TV. And look, when I say it gives me shades of ECW, it also gives me shades once in a while of, you know, the Monday Night Wars. You know, Moxley and Eddie Kingston ramming the pickup into the side of the production truck, like I said earlier, you know, it kind of reminds me of the late 90s with some of the stuff we used to see on TV. You know, the difference is, though, is you get goofiness mixed in with it. I'll give you an example. All right, Shaq gets put in the ambulance. Okay, Shaq goes through the table, they put him in the ambulance. Instead of just having the ambulance drive away and let it be, no, they have to have an added segment where I think Tony Schiavone's in the back and Shaq disappears, vanishes in thin air. The general drilled a hole underneath the ambulance and he slid down the hole and they sped away in the fake Corvette. I mean, explain that to me. And then we see online Shaq going out a side door and wobbling as fast as he could through a side building. I mean, why not just put him in the fucking ambulance, drive away, and that's it? So tonight, we get a little bit of an attitude feel. Moxley and Kingston hitting the production truck, or the Elite's truck, the RV, whatever you want to call it. And my immediate reaction is, okay, here's the time where you need a camera inside the truck. If you remember, Shane McMahon. Was it Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens? What was it with the car in the back where they had I think it was Shane McMahon and AJ Styles, that they had a camera inside the limousine, and then when they showed replays, it looked so stupid because you're like, why is there a camera inside the limo? Why is this? Why is that? Like, there was too many characters. Darren, don't troll that, Darren. Seriously. That guy is a bad apple, a bad cop. He's getting what he deserves. And, you know, this climate has got to change. We'll talk about it tomorrow. If you want to have a straight up argument or debate about that, I'll be more than happy to do that tomorrow. But, you know, not good for tonight. But getting back to that. Okay, Miz and Morrison and Braun inside the truck. That was a little different because, you know, you'd only have one camera. One inside, one outside. But tonight, you have Nakazawa. Oh, by the way, they took this picture. I got to take you off for a second. They took this picture earlier. This was them standing outside the truck. Now, it's an awesome picture. But, you know, not for nothing. I mean, I like Michael Nakazawa. You already know that I do. But take Brandon Cutler and Michael Nakazawa out of the fucking picture. If you're going to do a pose like that, you know, it just reminds me of Maven when he was when they had him like in the same ring with like Evolution. This is what the picture should have been today. That's what it should have been. Yeah, because they got to put their names there because they film and they work behind the scenes. This is the shot that should be circulating. Not that. I know it's nitpicking, but still. Brandon Cutler, with all due respect, nobody gives a shit about you with this elite storyline. Putting the guy's mug and everything because he works behind the scenes and he deserves to be seen. You don't have it like that. Sorry, just giving you my honest opinion. But you have them sitting in their camper, whatever, and Moxley and Kingston hit the side of the truck. And you mean to tell me you're going to try to do a segment like that gives you little shades of the Attitude Era, and there's no camera shot inside the truck where they're rocked? I know what you're going to say. Well, they could get injured. Well, duh, that's why you don't fucking do that. And then they do the shack. There's nobody here. We rammed the wrong truck. Where did they go? It's like a big... Which way did they go, Eddie? Which way did they go? Come on. This segment was fucking great. They did the same thing like they did with Shaq. Instead of just putting Shaq in the ambulance and ending it, go to commercial. No, we have to add the added thing. Where did he go? Where did he go? They did it fucking today again. Eddie Kingston and Moxley hit the truck. They're not here. God, this fucking sucked, man. That second part was just horrible. Why? Why would you even do that? Anyway. By the way, Billy Gunn is 57 years old. Fucking A, man. That guy, he's, whatever he is taking, and I know it's natural. God bless that man at 57 years old, still looking like he does. Because it just blows me away that this guy is going to be approaching 60 and being in that kind of shape. Fucking spectacular. So happy to see Billy Gunn still being able to do it. But like I said, getting back, Chris, just getting back to the other comment before about the production, I don't mind who the director is. Could even be a wrestler for all I care. You just have to tighten up some of this stuff. As much as I like the Moxley Kingston stuff today, but how stupid does that look that they just all vanished in thin air? We hit the wrong truck. The Elite, I mean, come on. Were they trying? I just realized something. Were they trying the Elite to do tonight like with the barbed wire, the exploding death match? Remember when everything fizzled and we said that to save face, Kenny Omega should have immediately went out there and said, would you all think we were going to explode? Were you stupid? Like they waited a whole week to try to play that off. Is this an attempt of mind games again, that they were in the truck and they just so happened to know that Moxley was going to show up with a pickup and ram the side of the truck, so we were going to put a set. What is a fucking Roadrunner bug, Wile E. Coyote cartoon? Just storyline purposes. Just very shoddy. So I don't care who the director is, but tighten up this stuff. There is a saying, less is more. Too much. They try to go one extra mile, and usually that last extra is the worst part about it. The worst part about it. QT Marshall, and I know I'm going a little out of place, but that's how I do it. QT Marshall versus Billy Gunn. Fun match. No doubt about it. Billy Gunn was going to lose this one. But, you had, members of the factory, at ringside, Camarado. Ogogo was not there. He would make an appearance later. But they're getting into it with the Gun Club. I'm saying to myself, like, all right, whatever, not a big deal. But, the QT Marshall, instead of just any steel chair ringside, let's go under the ring and get the wooden chair. The one that everything is loosened up. So when we smash it over someone's head, it's a wonderful visual. So no chair shots to the head. but we'll use a gimmicked wooden chair that nobody would. Why would you pull a wooden chair from underneath? It looked laughable. It looked like you could tell. Like, why? What causes more damage? A steel chair that bends or a wooden chair that breaks? And QT Marshall pulls out the chair. And when Billy Gunn sees the chair and hits QT Marshall, just look at QT Marshall dropping the chair. Kind of look like Billy Kay when she doesn't take the back pump and she just flails. It looks so horribly stupid. But here comes Anthony Ogogo. Wake me up before he Ogogo. He hits Billy Gunn in the stomach. Referee turns around, sees nothing. Billy Gunn is writhing in pain. Who dat hits the diamond cutter, gets the win. And then the chair comes into play. Nick Camarado, he's getting involved. There's a beatdown to Billy Gunn. And this man makes his return. And by the way, I did not realize at first that was face paint. I thought he was wearing some type of a bandana. And then I realized it was face paint. I'm like, okay, that actually looks pretty damn cool. But Dustin makes the save. Dustin grabs the wooden chair, smashes it over Camarado's head, kind of shades of the Wild Samoans from back in the day. Or even, what was it, the Barbarian? No, Haku, WCW Monday Nitro, Haku, when he got smashed over the head with the wooden chair and just threw it away. But, yeah, Ted Turner just said it too. Dusty hit him Meng on with it on Clash of Champions. Absolutely, man. So Nick Camarado's a beast, obviously, but this leads into a beatdown. And, next week, the Factory versus the Nightmare Family. All right, whatever. I mean, and they tried to, with Ogogo, I don't even like America. I'm only here so I could make money. I don't know. The guy looks like $1 million. My honest opinion, just me thinking outside the box, his name is Anthony Ogogo. Why don't you change it from Anthony to T? And then he can have a finisher and call it the TKO. I know it's close to RKO and this and that, but, even if you don't use a finisher called the TKO, since he's a boxer, TO is the initials, flows a lot more. Hey, Ayo, Ayo, Ayo. They're not Italian, so we kind of say, Ayo. No, but, hey, TO. Tony Ogogo sounds a hell of a lot better. So that's what we got looking forward to next week. When Hangman Page won his match, like I said earlier, cute hook with the kicks. He broke his cherry. He's getting a little bit in the ring, and the whole Dark Order comes out to save Hangman Page. Hangman Page not even nice enough to come out to see Ty Conti have her match against Hikaru Shida. Just saying. Yeah, TKO is a finisher, Darren, but I prefer Tony Ogogo. That's why I said Tony Ogogo last week, because a few people said to me, it's not Tony, it's Anthony. Believe it or not, in my real life, my personal life, not real life, my personal life, I go by Anthony. I mean, obviously online, when I did the wrestling managing, people would say, hey, DT, what's going on, DT? But if somebody yells out, Tony, I would never even think of turning around. In my personal life, I go by Anthony. Doing this stuff, they use Tony. But, I personally think that Tony Ogogo just flows so much better than Anthony Ogogo. Just giving you my honest opinion. But I think T.O., because obviously when you think of T.O., you think of Terrell Owens. I don't know if any of you still think that, but when I hear T.O., I still think of Terrell Owens. But I think T.O. would sound so much better for Anthony Ogogo. Alex Abrahantes, being the manager, spokesperson for Penta, I tell you, I thought I was not going to like it, but I freaking like it a lot. He looks good. He's got the mannerisms, the facials. He looks like someone you just want to just give a shot to. So him being alongside Penta, fabulous. I enjoyed it tremendously. Penta versus Trent with Orange Cassidy in his corner. Fun match. Penta with the win. The only thing that I did not like about that match, towards the end, you had Alex get on the microphone, and he starts cracking insults to best friends. He even talked about Trent's mom. I guess it's Trent's mom, right? Chuck's mom, whoever. Mom, the one with the caravan that we all would slash her tires if we had the chance. Not really, but he's throwing insults. Orange Cassidy is outside the ring, chases him inside the ring. Now we think that, maybe Alex is going to get nailed from Trent. And very, very stupid. Very stupid. Penta hit Orange Cassidy with a super kick. Orange Cassidy goes down. He's in the ring. Go back and watch it. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's Trent's mom. Thank you. Trent. Actually, no, not going there. Not going to go there. I'll tell you tomorrow what I was going to say. It's nothing horrible, but I don't like making mom jokes all that much because you never know if somebody's mom is no longer with us. And I'm I'm just saying that's why I don't like doing mom jokes. Your mom is so fat and all this. And I'm too old for that. But what I thought was so stupid is Penta super kicks Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy goes down. So what happens? Abrahantes hits Trent with the microphone. Penta hits like that spike pile driver. And Orange Cassidy fucking disappeared. Then I went and I rewound it. I'm like, oh, how cute. Orange Cassidy gets hit with the super kick and is down in the ring. And it's almost like, oh, let me roll out of the ring so I can't break up the pin. The camera shot was horrible. You'll go back, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. He was knocked down in the ring. It wasn't all at the same time where he got super kicked and then rolled out of the ring. He was down for quite a few seconds. And then the next thing you know, he rolled his ass out of the ring and Trent loses. Kind of cacas, to be honest with you. Package pile driver. Thank you, Rocky Red. Sometimes it gets late, the actual moves, I kind of forget some of the names. Pinnacle have a sit-down interview with Jim Ross. I know a lot of people tonight, which interview is better? Jericho in the Inner Circle or the Pinnacle? This might not be popular for some of you out there. I go with Jericho in the Inner Circle only because the Pinnacle's interview is pre-recorded. And you pre-record, and look, it's not take away anything from MJF. MJF is one of the top talkers in wrestling. MJF is one of my favorites in that company. But as much as I enjoyed MJF cutting his promo today, I got to tell you, I loved Wardlow's promo. Everybody tonight was talking about MJF, Jericho, and Santana, their mic work. I thought Wardlow did a great job as well. They're all doing a sit-down interview, and they're obviously hyping up May 5th's Blood and Guts. And, MJF just totally ripping apart Jericho. And, they did a funny segment where his scarf, he said, was all old and ragged. So Wardlow gives him a new scarf, and it looked exactly like the same as the old one. It was a gift from Tully Blanchard. And Wardlow cutting a promo on the inner circle also. And then MJF talks about the Jericho rub. The Jericho rub. And beautiful on the mic, saying that Jericho thinks he's giving rubs to people in AEW, but he's fighting all the people that the fans want to see anyway. And he's name-dropping Cody, Orange Cassidy, him, and others. And it kind of makes sense the way he's saying it. Then he's saying that he's not a mark for Jericho. He's a mark for Jericho's spot. And, Jericho last week insulting MJF and his age and everything. And MJF, calls that horse shit, commenting about his age. He's not great for his age. He's just great. And he said that when Jericho was 25, he was curtain jerking worldwide. And believe it or not, it's actually kind of true. Back in 1996 is when Jericho first left ECW, showed up on WCW TV, and actually did have some matches on Worldwide as well. 96, 97, around there. But they're hyping up the Blood and Guts match. MJF cut an awesome promo. Again, pre-recorded, but you could tell it wasn't spliced in at all. Great interview. Jericho in the Inner Circle just turned it up to another level. And this is why I always praise Jericho to the moon. And even Santana tonight. Santana nailed it with his promo, talking about what some of the antics of what the Pinnacle did attacking him. And he said, where he comes from is bitch moves. And he's from the Bronx, not too far from my neck of the woods. And Jericho gets on the mic and starts doing like a little rhyme, like cutting insults to MJF. And it was funny because, towards the very end of it, he didn't rhyme anymore, but he was talking about shoving MJF's head in the toilet. And what did he say? Oh, I wrote it down. He said that he gave MJF a swirly in the toilet, and fans started chanting swirly, which was pretty funny. And by the way, he wiped his ass with that scarf that Tully Blanchard gave MJF. He wiped his ass with it before, MJF got it. And at Blood and Guts, they're going to hand their ass to the Pinnacle. It's going to be an awesome, awesome battle. And next week, they're going to have a parlay. Basically, it's just going to be all the guys in the ring. Next week is a week before Blood and Guts. Already a week before Blood and Guts, because you got, the 28th is next week. So they're going to probably go off the air having their brawl. And, the following week will be the event. Jericho nailed it again tonight. But Santana, I'm telling you, you realize now we're a little spoiled here in the Northeast because we've seen Santana Ortiz wrestling locally over here for many years. But you now see Santana really is good on the mic. And there's some great stuff on YouTube prior to AEW if you want to go check that out. I wouldn't mind Stadium Stampede 2.0, but the Blood and Guts is going to be live. It's not going to be pre-recorded. Stadium Stampede was more, I guess you'd call it cinematic match, sort of. But the difference is it was a flat-out brawl the whole match. Some cinematic matches don't have too much in the wrestling department. You think of Cena and Bray Wyatt. I think there was only one move the whole match, even though I loved it. AJ and Undertaker had brawling also, but it was a lot of choreographed too. So what other matches we got? Oh, Hikaru Shida versus Ty Conti. I tell you the truth, I enjoyed this match a little bit more than Sarray versus Zoey Stark. Then I started thinking about it tonight, and I said, you know what? I should have liked this match more because this was a women's title shot. Sarray was making her debut. And obviously, when Sarray gets in there, with some of the other stars, you're going to see what she can actually do. If, people that were complaining about Sarray's match yesterday, if you really want to see what she could do, go on YouTube and look at some of her work from Japan. Then you'll know exactly what this woman could do. And it's pretty fucking impressive. But Shida, I just can't get past at how horrendous AEW has had that title reign of hers. We're already approaching the month of May. And when Shida beat Ty Conti tonight, she hit her with the katana, which really looked nice. Ty Conti with a couple of elbow strikes. There was some kickouts that you probably in any other promotion wouldn't have seen a kick out from, but Ty Conti put on an excellent performance today. Ty Conti, I truly believe, will be an AEW women's champion down the line. But, again, when you see this, suddenly Thunder Rosa is on the back burner. Suddenly, Serena Deeb is nowhere to be found. Suddenly, Nyla Rose can't get on TV. Jade Cargill, they have a cut a promo today that she's a free agent if anybody wants her. You see how many women get pushed to the side. And when you see Britt Baker come out, and obviously she deserves the pop that she gets. She has improved, and it's fun to see Britt Baker start putting it all together. She still has a ways to go. You have Adam Cole in your corner. That's obviously an awesome trainer and support to have. And she's worked her ass off. But when she shows the screen, and now she's the number one contender because Ty Conti lost, you look in the left-hand corner, the lower corner, and you see Hikaru Shida's win-loss record for 2021. I think it was 2-0. I mean, you realize quickly how bad AEW has handled the women's division in 2021. I don't care who tuning in is. I don't care how big of a supporter you are at AEW, as I am. But there's no denying it that AEW has done a shit job with the women's division in 2021. And you look at all of the matches and you see Shida 2-0. So, Britt Baker, I'm telling you, as weird as this sounds, I feel it coming. That I think Britt Baker may actually get a bigger pop than Shida if they have this match in the very near future. Especially if you start bringing more live fans in attendance. And trust me, again, I know I beat it to death over the last year, but all these morons out there that told you that WWE and AEW would never, ever go back to house shows and would not tour, you give it 2-3 more months and you see what goes down. The biggest, most horrendous, stupidest, dopiest, stupid lie that was fed to you for the last year. Never go to house shows again. Oh, you wait. And when you start getting loads of live fans in attendance, I'm telling you, Britt Baker's going to get that badass pop. Just feel it coming. And it's not Shida's fault. Shida is the most talented woman in the AEW roster, and some people might disagree with me and say Thunder Rosa is. By the way, the best thing for Ivelisse right now, she got a point across. You and I talked about the friction with her and Thunder Rosa last year. Now it's starting to really come to the surface. I think the best thing for Ivelisse right now, and we talked about it last week a little bit too, best thing for her is to not say anything else for quite a while and start working on getting work as a wrestler, because she ain't going to win the fight, the argument about Thunder Rosa and the treatment that she got in AEW. She's going to get a reputation that she's not easy to deal with, which she already has to a certain extent, and she is going to have an awful hard time finding work. And then if she starts doing what a lot of other people do, that she's not getting work because she's a minority, she's going to kill her wrestling career, what's left of it, and she is really, really talented. And I feel bad for Ivelisse in a lot of ways. I absolutely like her. That's the reason why I gave away that prize that time. Not because of giving away a prize, but I wanted to give something that I thought was pretty cool, that I thought some of you out there would have wanted also. So Shida retains. Ty Conti now goes down, and now you say to yourself, when is Ty Conti going to get that opportunity again? Not anytime soon. So what else do we get? We had Powerhouse Hobbs versus Christian. It was a fine match. I love how they were talking about Hacksaw Butch Reed, who recently passed away. That is true, that Hobbs definitely watches a lot of old school wrestling and does look at footage, not just of Butch Reed, but of Vader, One Man Gang, a lot of big men from yesteryear. And Hobbs obviously is not wrestling alone. He's working with trainers too, and a lot of people are helping him. And Hobbs is going to put it all together. I'm telling you, Hobbs, I understand why some people early on were like, oh, he reminds me of Ice Train. I know, because of the physique and because they're both black and because they were big men. But Hobbs, there's something special about that guy. And even though Hobbs, I like Hacksaw Hobbs. I mean, Powerhouse, kind of, I'm used to it now. But Hacksaw Hobbs is not that bad. It's a little tribute to Butch Reed. But listen, even though he lost to Christian Cage today, he loses no ground whatsoever. Everybody knows Hobbs is a future star. It's just, like I said, AEW, as much as nobody talks about it, I'm telling you, their biggest problem is the heavyweight, the big men. Because you start really showing that more, and regular people take notice of that more and more and more, that is a major problem. There are so many big men in that company that they don't know what the fuck to do with. You could see it. You could see it. Next week, we're going to have Brian Cage, taking on Hangman Page. The rhyme that we all said on social media for the last couple of months. Oh, I'd love to see Page versus Cage. In a cage, the path of rage, Page versus Cage. But no FTW title on the line. That kind of gives away what's going to likely happen in this match. Next week, we have Chris Statlander taking on Penelope Ford. You realize Chris Statlander showed up how many weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? And slapped Penelope Ford silly? Took him 3 weeks to put that match on TV. They're trying to put too many people on TV at once. And a lot of these storylines, it gets ridiculously stupid when hatred gets put on hold for 3 weeks. I'm talking storyline hatred. Miedo cuts a promo earlier. Kip, where are you? You didn't show up again. And then they put on a banner that he's going to be on next week in Penelope's corner. And no, I do not want a Kip Sabian versus Miedo feud. I don't even know if I want to see them team up and be tag team champions, which ain't happening anytime soon either. So, again, another big guy. You could have him whine and complain and cut promos all you want on TV. You could have Lance Archer shoving people through roofs, Miro threatening the world, Cage saying, fuck the world. Hangman Page is number one contender, which is kind of hilarious, and it's not a knock on him. It's just how bad AEW's used him. The big men cannot break through. I mean, you talk about the glass ceiling. I mean, that's pretty bad when you think about that. So next week we have Cage versus Page. We're going to have that parlay, the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle. They will have an old-fashioned confrontation, beat down, go off the air. Tune in next week. The Nightmare versus the Factory. Did you notice? The Nightmare Family versus the Factory with Anthony Ogogo in their corner. So he did that one punch, and now he's out of matches for the foreseeable future. That gives you an idea that they really don't have a whole arsenal for Tony Ogogo right now. He's going to be in their corner. Okay. The Young Bucks versus Matt and Mike Seidel. I don't know how I feel about that. I know it's going to be a fun match. And this eliminator thing that they do with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, oh, that's so cute. If they win, they get a future title shot. Yeah, Joey Janela had no fucking chance against Kenny Omega. Matt Seidel had no chance against Kenny Omega. Mike and Matt Seidel have no chance against the Young Bucks. They tried to put a stipulation like, oh my God, if they win, then it could do this. Yeah, and if I didn't have balls, I would be Antoinette instead of Anthony. You know, it's just trying to hype something that really is, it's going to be a fun match, but this is just filler. Penta versus Orange Cassidy. Okay, you know, we'll get the usual comedy part. It'll be interesting to see Penta with the glove and Orange Cassidy with his hands in his pockets. So that's what we have looking forward to next week. The main event tonight, Darby Allin versus Jungle Boy. Loved it. You could see 5 years from now, these two guys, I'm not going to say that they're going to main event pay-per-views, but 5 years from now, there should be no reason why these two guys aren't consistently in main events. And without clusterfucks, too. You know, you had Luchasaurus in Jungle Boy's corner. You had Sting in Darby Allin's corner. And I tell you, they really work well together. I would love to see a rematch. I would love to see a rematch on May 5th. Book a rematch. Why not? These two guys really, really work well together. And sure, look, Jungle Boy still has, you know, more to go to start putting it together. But you could see Darby Allin has really tightened up a lot of his spots. The coffin drop to the edge of the rope, the ring, Jungle Boy was laid out outside the ring, but along the edge, and Darby Allin hit him with a coffin drop. You'd be surprised how risky that is, because you go a little to your left and your neck is snap against that rope. You go a little to the right and you could really, you know, do a number on yourself. These two guys, you know, just tore it up. Towards the end of the match, there were some people that I was talking to online that thought that there was a chance that Jungle Boy was going to pull it out. When he put Darby Allin in a stair trap, and, you know, it looked like Darby was going to, you know, either go to sleep. I don't know if he was going to tap out, but him raking Jungle Boy's face, it's like Jim Ross said, you know, not the nicest thing to do, but it's effective, you know. The only part of this match that I hated is it's not even when Luchasaurus rolled Jungle Boy back in the ring so he wouldn't be counted out. And again, even Jim Ross even said, like, you know, that's borderline. Why is the referee allowing Luchasaurus at ringside? Why isn't he ejecting Luchasaurus? But what was so hard, just really stupid, you go back and watch, you'll see it. Luchasaurus rolls Jungle Boy back in. Luchasaurus walks to the other side of the ring, and Sting gets in his face. And all Luchasaurus did was roll his own guy back in the ring. Didn't attack Darby Allin. Didn't try to attack Sting. All he did was put his own man back in the ring. And Sting, you would have thought that you kidnapped Sting's favorite pet. Sting is in Luchasaurus's face. Sting hits Luchasaurus. They're punching each other. Sting, and I have no problem with Luchasaurus selling for Sting, but it looks so goofy. And then they, I guess, try to brawl to the back, and they go outside the right, you know, that back area, and you're watching it, and it looked like they were doing a tango than anything else. Like they're locked up and they're going back and forth, and and I'm like, oh my God, come on, man. That just looks, why even bother with shit like that? You know, in the end, Darby Allin got the clean win. He hit the Last Supper on Jungle Boy. It was an awesome match. But why even do that shit? It's nothing against Sting. I'm one of the biggest supporters that he's back because, again, he knows what he can do and he can't do, and he hasn't embarrassed himself. But AEW has this infatuation of having him go at it with guys, and when he went at it with Luchasaurus, that was just awful. Sorry. I thought it was awful. I thought it took away from the match. Let the two, I don't want to say kids, but let the two young guys just put all the focus on them. Nobody at ringside. Put the focus on them and let everybody just stay on those two guys. It was not needed tonight. And then after the match is over, you get Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. They hit the ring. They attack both. The funny thing about it is Ethan Page does I don't know what he calls it, but it's like the razor's edge. And Darby Allin falls backwards, and I'm looking and I'm like, well, that looks just like the coffin drop. Why is Darby Allin selling it like he broke his neck? It just looks like he did a coffin drop. But Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, they hit the ring. So you know what we're going to get next week. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, they're going to team up to take on Darby Allin and Jungle Boy. That's kind of where it seems. But then Sting comes back out. And, you're saying to yourself, what the fuck is Sting going to do? And then Lance Archer hits the ring. Lance Archer clears out the ring. You had Team Taz, earlier, and you just keep seeing the same shit. Sting, just walks to the ring, little brisk walk, and everybody runs away. Oh, my God, the plastic bat. And, Lance Archer got his hands on Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. And again, it feels like they're doing a storyline where Lance Archer now is actually showing respect for Sting. But I think in the end, AEW is going to be too tempted to have Lance Archer turn on Darby Allin and Sting. I don't know how much he'll attack Sting, but he'll probably be focused on Darby Allin. And then you'll have Lance Archer versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. That's kind of like, it feels like where this is going. Nia Rofe, how would I use Sting in AEW? Less is more. Less is more. He is the mentor for Darby Allin. But after the cinematic match, I'm not saying that Sting shouldn't be at ringside with Darby Allin, but I think it's better that Sting, it's almost like Jake the Snake Roberts. And obviously Jake, health-wise, is in a lot worse shape. So Jake will come out with Lance Archer, and sometimes Jake will just go to the back. I think sometimes they should, all they got to do, very simple, and they could have done this tonight. All Darby Allin had to do is before the match tonight, they should have had a backstage segment, and Darby Allin said to Sting, I need this tonight. Stay back here. I want to face Jungle Boy one-on-one. Or you could add a confrontation in the back where Darby Allin tells Jungle Boy, you keep your guys back here, and I'll keep Sting back here as well. And you just have those two guys in the ring. After the match is over, you could have Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky hit the ring and attack both. Then that's when you could have Sting come out. Then that's when you could have Lance Archer come out. But the insistence on keeping other guys at ringside, I think, is unnecessary. They should have done that earlier. Less is more. And it feels like they're trying to force so much of Sting on TV to impress or to keep happy TNT. To keep as many familiar names on TV as possible for TNT. That's how it feels to me. There's no reason for them. I mean, how many weeks did they tease? Sting speaks this week, and he doesn't speak. Sting has a problem with Team Taz, and he doesn't speak. Next week, Sting talks. Sting says. It's just too much. Too much teasing. They don't need to use him as much. Less is more. Doesn't feel special as much anymore. And that kind of sucks. Last week, I think, Christian segment was the lowest quarter hour, and I think Sting was part of that quarter hour segment too. I think. I don't have it in front of me, but I know it was a very unimpressive quarter hour. What do I think of how Triple H is doing for NXT? Now Shawn Michaels and Road Dogg are produced. Now Road Dogg obviously with the heart attack recently, and he is taking time off. But Shawn Michaels doing a phenomenal job with the guys behind the scenes. I mean, it's awesome to see. Triple H is doing a fine job. I really cannot, I mean, I understand the interview, why he says what he says. You know, he's not going to be challenged on it. But I can't see how anybody could have any issue with Triple H. I mean, yes, I am very disappointed with the last 2 weeks of NXT simply because it just feels like, you know, all right, well, we're unopposed now, so we're just going to, you know, put on what we want, and, you know, we're going to do the marathon, and we're not going to, there's no urgency, and, you know, we're going to, and like I said, when you start and you actually start dissecting and realizing that this woman has only wrestled 2 times in 2 months, you know, I probably was looking forward to what they were going to do with her than anyone else, and look at what they've done. The Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart are tag team champions. And what is happening? Smoke and mirrors. 8-person tag team match last week. Oh, next week they could have a match. And you could see that they're just milking a lot of stuff. But, you know, overall, though, I mean, you look at that roster up and down. I mean, doing a spectacular job. You know, I would love, look, we're in 2021, everyone. And we're used to Monday Night Raw for 20 plus years. For older fans out there, we're used to the Monday Night Wars, the Attitude Era. We're used to Impact Wrestling when it was TNA, having blockbuster main events every single week. We're used to seeing the big stars always going out there and doing what they do. And we have to get used to it that AEW is going to pull back. You know, I don't think anybody, look at Kenny Omega's title run since he won that title. I mean, I don't disagree. Kenny Omega's top 5 in wrestling. But let's also take a step back and say, okay, look at Kenny Omega's world title reign in AEW since he won that title. 6 months ago, 5 months ago. It's pretty fucking pathetic. I mean, he had that exploding match that was a disappointment, and obviously, look, that's beyond their control. But you actually start dissecting his run, it's hidden smoke and mirrors. Joey Janela, Matt Sydal, you know, backstage segment, more backstage segment. Okay, teaming up with the Good Brothers, you know, to have the Young Bucks who weren't with him, then they were with him, then they're not sure if they're with him, and then, you know, it just. Meanwhile, months go by, and it feels like if Hangman Page is going to be the person to take the title off of Kenny Omega, they're trying to milk this until they get a lot more fans back in attendance. And that will happen in a couple of months. I'm telling you, every day, and I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm right all the time, but if you really pay attention and follow the time frame that I've been talking about, it's right on schedule. Half of the United States has had at least one vaccine shot. Half. That means if they have Moderna or Pfizer, that means in 3 to 4 weeks, as long as everybody shows up for their second shot, in 3 to 4 weeks, 1/2 of the country is fully vaccinated. Then they figure 10 to 20% of the country had the virus and have the antibodies, but we're not vaccinated. So if you just do the math, by June, we're pretty much going to be herd immunity. And it's politics, but they use July 4th for political reasons. But July 4th, mark it down. That day will be the day that everybody, when you go back to history, that is the country's Freedom Day. they're using July 4th, Independence Day, as the day where the United States says we are truly independent and free of this virus. The virus is going to stick around for a few years. Not everybody's going to be vaccinated, but it's going to be under control. You know, a lot of people don't know this, and we'll talk about it tomorrow a little bit, but what a lot of people don't notice is that what they found, and this blows me away, that of 150 million people who have had at least one shot, or if you want to go with 80, 90 million people who have been fully vaccinated, there have been approximately 6,000 people who still got COVID, all right, after being vaccinated. 6,000 out of, whatever it is, 100 million, whatever. Now, obviously that percentage is very, very tiny, but it's still 6,000 people. That sucks. You're fully vaccinated and you still get COVID. Now, obviously some people didn't wait the full 2 weeks, but the point is, and this is the most important point out of it, what the reports are saying, and you could Google them and see them for yourself. Do you know how many people of the 6,000 who are fully vaccinated that caught COVID again, do you know how many of those 6,000 died? Do you know how many of those 6,000 had to be hospitalized and put on a ventilator? So the bottom line is, for us wrestling fans, give it 2 more months. 2 more months. And we truly will start getting back to some type of normalcy as far as wrestling fans go. You will see the touring. AEW is going to go to other states later on this year. WWE will definitely have some events outside of Florida. It's happening. It's happening. It's just a matter of when, but it's happening. And then you're going to realize that all of that drama and the stuff people were feeding last year and even this year was a lie. It was a lie. And I can't wait for us to get back to a little bit of normalcy. I really can't wait. I mean, it's waning on all of us. I'm not going to lie. I mean, when I started doing video a little over a year ago, my intention was to do 1 show a week, maybe 2 at the most. And that was it. And it turned into 5. When you include Patreon, it's turned into 5. And now it may be 6. And if we start doing that Zoom stuff, you might be 7. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of this is my escape from all the bullshit going on. Personally, I got some issues. Everybody knows Friday where I'm going, for my tests. And I'm not looking forward to that. And Lord knows, I kind of have an idea what they're going to find. But, these are an escape for me also. But I can't wait for us to really put this on the back burner. July is, look, a lot of you out there don't like Fauci. A lot of you do like Fauci. A lot of you don't still understand why people fully vaccinated still have to wear masks and everything like that. Me, I don't care. I wear the mask. I do it more out of respect. Because people around me have no idea if I'm vaccinated or not. So I wear the mask and, it makes people feel a little more comfortable. Trust me, before I was fully vaccinated, when somebody would walk by me and didn't have a mask on, kind of like, made me just like be a little extra careful, like, ooh, don't go anywhere near that person. So, we got it. Once July comes, I'm telling you, we're really going to be on the right path. So we're going to have so much fun. Wrestling, everything. It's going to be a weight off the wrestler's shoulders also. It's not easy to perform in front of almost no audience and piped in chants. So, yeah, YouTube is different. I could decide. But I'm having a blast, and I appreciate you all hanging out tonight. Before you go, I would greatly appreciate, I know I didn't say it at all tonight, but if you could smash that like button on the way out, that helps me, and that tells YouTube that you enjoyed the show, and the more they get a reaction, the more inclined they'll recommend the show to others. Big shout out to everyone who is fairly new to the show. I read everybody's emails. Tomorrow, we're going to do another Ask DT, mailbag, AMA, whatever you want to call it. We'll have a lot of fun. We're going to give away the Bischoff signed NWO trunks tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, for my channel members, I'm going to do the Q&A. I know there's 2 threads where you could post questions. If you're not a channel member yet, you could sign up and you could post away. I also have that voicemail number up there where you could leave a voicemail if you want your question said on the show, where I play your actual audio. So we'll do that tomorrow. That'll be up for everybody. And that's it. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Again, it's not the same. It's not the same. You don't have the fans with the NW, I just was thinking NWO, the NXT State of Mind on a Wednesday night. So it's different. I mean, we expected this, but still, I kind of miss that back and forth that AEW fans and NXT fans, it's getting late, going back and forth on a Wednesday night. I miss the channel surfing. It was not easy to watch AEW on the TV, watch NXT on the computer, and then taking notes on the laptop and preparing for the show. It makes my work a little bit easier, obviously, but it's not the same. I kind of like doing the channel surfing and focusing on stuff. So, but, one thing we can say, though, tomorrow night, business as usual. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll have a lot of fun. I don't think we're going to be airing any retro footage of me on the indie circuit. I think we're going to put that aside for a week or two. So we may just have straight up Q&A tomorrow. I might pull some Lenny footage if I could, if I have time to pull it out of the archives. But we'll have a good show tomorrow nonetheless. But everyone be well. Glad to be back. I'm not going to lie, not doing video on Tuesday is a little awkward, especially after watching NXT. But I think we still have plenty of shows right now. And again, don't forget, next Thursday, Mish will be joining me Thursday night for Q&A. So for everyone out there that just wants to not only pick my brain, but pick Mish's brain, and anything is on the table. It's not just wrestling. You can talk about anything you want. Nothing is out of bounds. So everyone, much love. Have a good night. Be well. Stay safe. And I will catch you all again tomorrow night, 10:05 p.m. And be well. Ciao, everybody. Before I go, this is unfair. Courtney Summers, my sister from another mister. DT, like Paul Heyman said, Triple H just didn't want to work Tuesdays. I do remember that. I do remember Paul Heyman cutting that promo. Yeah? Oh, man. One of my favorite promos in history. Anybody remember it? Oh, shout out to Learning with J24, tuning in from Pakistan. Much love. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Anyone out there to remember the infamous 3-way promo exchange? Not Triple H, Vince McMahon, Eric Bischoff, Paul Heyman. All 3 of them in the ring. That was epic. But Courtney is talking about ECW One Night Stand. And that was awesome, man. I covered that on my hotline at the time, and ECW One Night Stand. And I had a lot of controversy because you remember the bus trip that I was supposed to do for Hardcore Homecoming. That turned out to be a disaster. But ECW One Night Stand, WWE really did that right. It's a shame that there were some names notably absent, but under the circumstances, though, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. But if some of you out there have never seen ECW One Night Stand, go check out Paul Heyman's promo. I mean, that was just that. I did Bischoff, remember? And he had that stupid grin on his face. Fucking phenomenal. It's a shame what happened to Blue Meanie from JBL, but, All right, everyone. So now, since I shouted Courtney out, I didn't want to forget about her. Now I can go and say goodnight, everybody. And if you're tuning in late and you want to download this episode, I'll have it online in about 20 minutes. Or you can just press play and replay and enjoy. So everyone be well, and I'll catch you tomorrow night, 10:05 p.m. Eastern. Good night, everybody. I know you can still hear me. Everyone have a good night and much love. Thank you as always for the support. I really appreciate it more than you can imagine. Thank you. I see you tomorrow night, 10:05 p.m.